listening to LOA Recon with the Good Vibe coach Jeanette Ma, where we dissect the ins and outs and the art and science of conscious creation, all intended to amp up your manifesting game. Let's have some fun together. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. And I wanted to say thanks to those of you who have sent emails telling me how much you enjoy this podcast. That means so much to me to hear. So thank you for those notes. Thank you for the reviews. All of that is much appreciated. All right. I had a topic today that at first I thought, I don't know if anyone else can benefit from this. It might just be for me. But I know enough to know that if something's up for me, there's probably someone else out there who can benefit too. So I'm sharing about this even though it's highly, highly personal. All right, as this year has wrapped up and we're getting ready to start not just a new year, but a new decade, I've had this crazy inspiration to eliminate tolerations like all over the place. And including in the key area of relationships. So I've just noticed there are a couple relationships, and it's not like I went looking for them. I just have this inspiration, like things that I'm not loving, I'm done with. You're not coming into 2020 with me. So I found a handful of relationships that looked like they could use some attention, either ending them or altering them in some way. It just felt like I'd been tolerating some bad behavior and I was ready to draw a line in the sand for change. And here's the thing. I know from a law of attraction perspective, that can be tricky business because if I'm taking this action, if I'm changing these relationships out there so that I will feel better in here, but if I take that action and all it does is activate for me, these people doing me wrong, left, right, and center, I'm changing all that. If I have that energy activated, if that's my vibration, people doing me wrong, I've had enough. Oh, guess what? I ordered up for 2020 more of the same. Because that's how it works. The vibration rules, not the action. So even though, and I'm highly trained, I'm a life coach. I know how this works. Shoot, a couple of my best friends are relationship coaches. I'm very savvy about how to do this stuff, but I'm also a savvy manifester. I'm smiling because that's part affirmation and part acknowledging the truth. You know what? Here's the thing. If you want to get better at your manifesting game, talk to other people about it. That will make you practice it better. If you want to get better at your conscious creation in 2020, start an LOA podcast. They've done studies. Oh my gosh, I'm laughing. I have a draft blog post titled They've Done Studies. I'm laughing about it because it's ridiculous to quote a study as confirmation that what you're about to say is true because we can make anything true. You can study anything and get any results. And there's so many studies contradicting each other. So many studies. I just finished reading Talking to Strangers by, is it Malcolm Gladwell? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to get back on track here. They've done studies that when you teach this to other people, it makes you practice it better. Yeah, I'm looking to practice this better. That's what I'm looking to do here. So by talking with you about it, I'm intending I get better at this my own self. So here's my inclination. My inclination is to identify a couple of relationships where I'm just not loving how things are going. And this includes business relationships, friend relationships, romantic relationships. And that made me start wondering. I was like, dang, Jeanette, you got them across the board. Is it really them, or might this be you? Might it be that you have unsatisfying relationships activated, and so you're turning every relationship into your life into an unsatisfying one? I did wonder that. But here's what I know. If I go out there to these relationships, which I did start doing, if I do that, expecting that things are going to get better because I said I'm not having this anymore, but what I have activated is I'm not having this anymore, then guess what I'm going to have more of? I'm going to have more of exactly what I don't want. So I got to be paying really close attention to this vibration. And yes, it's possible that I could change my own frequency, change what I'm flowing energetically without having a single conversation or making a single change in any area of my life. All those relationships could be as is. If I change my own vibration in here, then I could have what I wanted if I change it to what I want. That's possible. And I'm not positive that's the path of least resistance for me at this point. Maybe I'm that skilled. Maybe I am. But I'm just going to tell you, it felt way better. It felt very empowering to draw the line and say, you know what? I'm not having this anymore. I'm thinking about how I had an experience with my internet provider over the weekend. Good Lord, I did not enjoy this. Where I was calling to make a very simple request. It was a very simple request. It was so simple. I just needed a password change on my Wi-Fi. They do that for me. I don't know. Does every internet provider do that? That seems weird. But at some point, some tech rep must have changed my password. And if he told me I didn't write it down, because the one I had written down wasn't working. So I call him up because I remember, oh, that's right. They have this. So I call him up to change the password. Oh, my word. 4 hours later. Yeah, I'm not joking. 4 hours later. Okay, I should tell a short version of the story because no one needs that activated. That what I was getting was that I needed a new router. And this was after doing so many resets and callbacks and escalations to supervisors. Oh my gosh. Their final answer was, you need a new router and we can get that to you in 5 to 7 days. Oh, except it wasn't even 5 to 7 days. Okay, I said the short version. I'm not doing the short version. Except it couldn't even be 5 to 7 days because first they had to get a case manager to approve that I really did need a new router and they were closed. So that was going to be a couple more days. Oh, okay. You know what I said? I don't think I used swear words on the phone. I don't think I did, but the swear words were in my vibration. I said, yeah, I will have a new provider by then. Thank you very much. So I hung up the phone and I sure enough did send an email to a new provider. Okay. So I got local neighbors who are raving about another company, raving. And I thought, oh, it's time. It's time for me to make the change. So, in fact, maybe all this has happened because it's time for me to have better service. So I send an email out to my what I'm thinking of as my new provider. I say, it's time to make the change. And after I sent that email, I got a text back from, in this 4-hour ridiculous routine I did, when they said, sending the router in 5 to 7 days. I said, surely I could pick one up somewhere sooner or someone could bring one to me. You used to have local reps who would come to a house with equipment and do that. And the girl said, I don't know anyone. I said, I do. I've got his cell phone number. And she said, well, call him then. I said, do you want me to text him? And she said, yeah, if you've got his number, why not? Oh my gosh. So I totally did. I texted the representative for the company. And, oh my gosh, you know what I just thought? I thought some people listening to this might think I'm talking about CenturyLink. I'm not even talking about, I can't even talk about CenturyLink without swear words. I'm not talking about them, but it made me realize I got swear words for internet providers. Here's my neighbors raving about this amazing company. Watch me with this vibration turn them into unsatisfying providers. I got to get a handle on this vibe. You can tell. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. Okay, so anyway, I had texted the guy. I'm like, do you even still work for them? Because it had been years. Super nice guy, though. So I texted him, expecting to not hear from him again. And if I did, probably be in a couple days saying, no, I'm not with them anymore, actually. But I hung up with a rep who said 5 to 7 days when we get around to approving it. I was like, oh, I don't think so. I emailed the new provider. You might be, look, I wrote a blog post recently. Check your vibe. Before you take an action, check your vibe. But honestly and truly, it did feel better to be like, I'm done with these guys. This is it. This is the last straw. I'm having a new provider. Okay. I feel a little better right there, but you got to make sure you keep feeling better. Cause if you keep this kind I don't know if it's an exaggeration to call it outrage, then they can't help you, Jeanette. They can't help you. Okay, we're talking about business providers right now. You guys, this is happening in friendships, in romantic relationships. Whew. Okay, so anyway, how long is this episode going to be? I don't know. All right, the guy texts me back. And guess what he says? He says, yeah, I still work for them. What do you need? He said, what's up? And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I start to text him the story of, you won't believe what happened. All I needed was a password change. And they're telling me da-da-da-da-da. But before I can even finish texting him, he calls me. You guys, it's a Saturday night on a holiday weekend. He called me. And I told him the story. And he said, here, do this. And I'm telling you, within like 3 minutes, I'm not exaggerating. It might have been more like 2.5 minutes. He had solved my problem and I was connected again. That guy. Oh my gosh. You would not believe the rave review I sent to his supervisor. It was a rave review. And I did it without saying bad things about the other people who were just trying to help me. But look, when you're dealing with a vibration like I had, you can't help. Okay, so I know better. This is my long way of saying, don't think I'm done. I'm not. Just a long story for that part of this episode. That's my long way of saying that making the changes to the relationships isn't going to do me any good if I'm not changing the vibration. So I got to be paying attention to how I'm feeling. If I can find a way to feel better without saying anything to anyone or firing anyone or ending any relationships, then so be it. That's what matters. But I should be smart enough. I am smart enough to know that I can't just go out there and change these relationships in these ways and expect that it's going to be any different for me if I haven't changed how I feel in here. Altering the out there, expecting that that's going to make me feel better in here, that's the muggle approach to life. And I know better than that. So there are other areas. And I don't know what's going to happen with my internet provider yet. Oh, I do know. Yes, I know this much. I got to practice having what I want. I've got to practice feeling the satisfaction, the contentment, that feeling of success. That's what I've got to practice before I know what to do, whether to move or not. I'll know eventually because I'm going to practice that vibration soon. That's a beautiful thing about talking about this with others is that it makes you better at your own game. I'm telling you, start an LOA podcast. You'll be a better conscious creator as a result, or a blog post, or just teaching it to anyone in your life. It will make you raise your own game. Okay, so this isn't just happening in my business relationship. It's also happening in friendships. Like I've got one friend who purports to be a true friend no matter what. He said that to me multiple times. But when things don't go his way, I'll get the cold shoulder for a couple weeks. And if I do manage to talk to him, he won't even speak to what's bothering him. And authenticity is one of my core values. So that's not a routine that I really enjoy or appreciate. Some people might like that we don't have to talk about it. If we're not being real with each other, we are wasting each other's time. I don't want to do it. And I know that this is an act of self-love for me to no longer tolerate behavior that I don't love. This is, it's a way for me to honor myself. It's an act of self-love. I've got another friend who, subtly is trying to sabotage my love life by planting seeds of doubt and fostering some negative thoughts about my loved ones. Like this particular friend, I know I can't share good news with them because they won't be happy for me. They enjoy hearing about my bad news, and that's what I share with them. That's a terrible basis for a friendship. Okay, that's what I'm thinking. So I'm like, what? Don't be friends with this person who roots for your unhappiness. Girl, don't. I got another friend who has this tendency to expect the worst from me. That is starting to wear on me. In fact, I got an episode in my head about that because as he's expecting bad things from me, and I am talking with other friends about that, and they're like, well, that's a terrible thing. Why would he do that? And I'm like, oh, I explain why. It's because he experienced this with multiple people in his past. So that's why he expects it from me. But so I'm justifying it. I'm explaining it like, it's just what he's used to. But he'll learn. I'm reliable like that. You don't have to worry about me for that. But you know what? It's wearing on me. It's wearing on me in a way that I started wondering. This is a different episode that I'm actually previewing right now. Okay, maybe I won't do that episode. I'll just share this thought right now about how I got to wondering, did they really do that to him, or was he vibrating it when he showed up there and he elicited it from them? I'm talking about cheating. Look, I can get a lot of things wrong in a relationship, but that isn't one of them. And this guy seems so paranoid about it that I just feel like I am being wasted on someone who doesn't know how to enjoy, how to appreciate someone I'm the last person on the planet you got to worry about that with. But he keeps worrying about it. He keeps assuming it and concluding it and just general paranoia. And I started thinking someone who wasn't as strongly grounded in it as I was might be affected by that. You know how we affect each other energetically, right? Our expectations of another person, it elicits that behavior from them. I'm not saying that they're in charge of you or that you're in charge of them, but it's a co-creation. And someone who is not strongly grounded in what they prefer can be easily influenced by that. So I started wondering, maybe it isn't that his exes were so unfaithful. Okay, well, apparently they were. But who's really responsible for that? If I show up with that vibration activated, can I really blame them if I just kept pouring it all over them? Okay, that was a different episode that I was thinking about there. But bottom line, I'm a firm believer. I'm getting a little riled up, aren't I? I should just calm myself down. Maybe I should have done this episode later, but what keeps happening is I'm like, yeah, I'll do that episode later. But then by then I forgot the details of it. So it's not as good a story. I'm a firm believer that we train the world how to treat us. So if I'm accepting behavior from you, I'm letting you know it's okay to treat me that way. And that makes me just as responsible for it as they are. But I also know that if I'm in resistance to being treated this way, I'm going to get treated that way. Because that's what happens. Whatever I've got activated, it's coming for me. So where that leaves me is knowing that, and this is what I would like to impart on you in this episode, is that the bottom line is that our vibration has to change before anything else can. That's all that matters. And if I could change this vibration while I'm still in these relationships, I'm home free, because my new vibration, it has to be reflected around me one way or another. And that might be because they make their own exits or they make their own changes. But if I just go out there and say, hey, you got to exit, or hey, you got to change, and my vibration doesn't change, then I've wasted my time and I'm too smart for that. So I'm thinking about, remember my crackhead neighbor story about how I was so certain this guy who was hate and evil and dangerous and just everything bad that a person could be. I was so certain that when I got dialed on love and peace and quiet and appreciation, those are my 4 keywords. It never fails. Every time I think of this guy, I get emotional. All these years later, it makes me emotional because I thought this guy who was everything bad that a person could be, that's a slight exaggeration, but I really had a very low opinion of him. Everything bad. I thought when I can just dial in on good things, he will have to be gone from my world. He will have to be, because love and hate cannot coexist. So if I just dial on love, then I will force him from my world. He will have to go. He'll either go back to jail or to the morgue. And I was perfectly happy with that option too. Somehow, some way, he would be gone from my world when I dialed on love and peace and quiet and appreciation. And that took a while. That took some practice. But I did. I dialed on love, and I didn't practice loving him. I just, although that did kind of happen sometimes. Like, remember, he was dealing drugs outside my bedroom window, and I would ask him, please be more quiet, 'cause, sleep. And he just got louder, and he would laugh, and he would shout basically to his customers, ah ha ha, my blankety blank 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 neighbor hates it when I wake her up, blankety blank. And I would practice when he would wake me up, because I'm dialing on love and quiet and peace and appreciation. When that would happen, I would turn to my boyfriend and I would say, wow, that guy, he's so industrious. He just works through the all hours of the night. Imagine if we had a work ethic like that. So I did kind of practice a little bit of love and appreciation on him, but really I just intended to force him from my world. What happened when I got to love and peace and quiet and appreciation was that guy became all that and more. I so undersold that guy. I'm saying people are capable of meeting us wherever we can go ourselves, high or low. They will meet you there. So that's why we know to expect the best and to know that we're responsible for what's happening out there. It's our vibration that's running this show. So if there's something out there that I don't like, I was going to say that you don't like, but this is my story. This is my manifesting coaching session. If there's something going on out there that I don't like, I know that change has to start in here. It isn't about firing my internet provider. It isn't about breaking up with a boyfriend or ending a friendship. It's about finding a way to feel what I want and then taking inspired action from there. And if what I got to do first is make those changes in order to feel better, in order to expect anything different that would allow me to feel better, that works too. But the key is it's got to be reflected in my vibration before I expect things are going to be any different. So the question for me is, what's easiest for me to feel better about? Can I land on a good vibration while having these same people in my life, or is it just easier to feel better by making some changes? And it isn't necessarily one or the other. It could maybe be a combo where I just make some changes that allows me to feel better, but I gotta hang on to that new vibration. I gotta continue to flow good things if I expect good things to happen. So whatever I do, I gotta know that things aren't going to be any different with friends or internet service providers if I don't find the vibration of what I want. And I also did learn from that experience with them that there's something really empowering about saying, I'm not taking this anymore. That could be a foothold in a new vibration right there. I just want to make sure I don't slip back into the old, they did me so wrong routine, because that one doesn't have a happy ending. All right. I don't think there's anything else I need to say about this. If you've got any of this going on in your life, then we'll be practicing this together. And if you don't, hallelujah. Happy New Year, everyone. Here's to happy manifesting in 2020.